Well, that was super peaceful.
I know, right? I almost fell asleep.
Okay, I can't see the chat. I don't know what's going on here.
I can't see it either, but I can see it on the YouTube side of things.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
there.
there's one.
Passamaquoddy's here. Nice to see you,
Hey.
Passamaquoddy.
But I know Storm Radios and Cat's Berry was here, and so was Hendo was
Okay,
here, so I'm not
yeah,
sure. I don't see their comments in there.
yeah. Speak to us, guys.
Speak to us.
I gotta turn off notifications real quick on this chat that's happening behind the scenes.
Oh, there's Hendo. Yeah, Barry had said earlier he was just picking up the popcorn and sweeping up and cleaning off the seats for us.
Oh, so nice, so nice.
Hey, Gil.
Gil, nice to see you. Okay, so this is gonna. Sorry, they just started chatting away, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get rid of them. Hi, Hendo. Hi, Gil. So just ignore the little chimes. So it only says that there's two people in here, but let's go for it and just get to it, and they'll show up. So they're probably still getting their coffee from earlier. You had a great chat this morning
Well, thank you.
live, and there's Storm and Courtney. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Why did you start your channel? Let's do the channel stuff first, and then we'll get to the nitty gritty stuff.
Okay. Well, I had back to college in 2018 and completed college in 2020, and I actively looked for a job for about a year, and then I was not able to get one. And I had already started homeschooling my daughter because of the C word
Mm-hmm.
in 2020. And so after I realized that, my degree wasn't going to get me a job as quickly as I had thought, then I decided to keep homeschooling my daughter. And I just decided to do the at home thing. Eric had said, you're fine here. We can live off of my income and my military disability. And pretty much, if you want to stay at home and you do plenty of work at home, you are useful here. So if that's what you want to do here henceforth, you can go ahead and do that. And I just, you know, I got kinda introverted, more introverted than I'm used to,
Right.
and, kinda cut off from the world, and so I decided that, this would probably be good for me, so I started my channel, and I thought that it would be a good, learning curve. It would be a good way to socialize as well as document, where I started. It wasn't exactly where I started on my homestead, but I kinda just did a slideshow and showed where to catch up to current, but I just decided that, it would all around be a good experience, that it would help me socialize. I didn't realize how much encouragement it would bring until I got a little into it, but I mainly thought, at least I can document, because I have big plans and I have big goals, and I thought it's okay that I'm starting fresh and that I don't know that much, because maybe it can be a learning experience for somebody else by me showing my vulnerabilities and me showing my learning process. Maybe somebody else out there is starting out or thinking about starting out and wants to learn also. So I thought I'll just video my learning experiences and my journey along the way. And I thought that would be cool to have that documented for later on for my kids to see, or, you know, whatever, to look back on and be like, look where I started and look where I am now. And that was kind of the ideal. So,
That's great. Hey, Chicken Beak and Passamaquoddy and Gulf Coast Granny and Gil, welcome in. Hendo, welcome in. Norman, be
hey,
quiet.
Brad, now I'm the one being interviewed. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, the nerves.
welcome in, Brad. So I started out the same way, so that's awesome to hear. I just, started on this when the pandemic happened. Just, I'm going to do this because,
Yeah.
and I wanted to document my journey because I wanted, as I was learning, and the great thing about that, I don't know, you probably found this too. Homesteaders are so helpful to each other.
They really are. I didn't realize this starting out how, because all the people that I had watched were like big name channels and they hardly even respond to your comments, but I never realized how much socially it would really help me and the encouragement that I would get.
So what were you suffering from socially? You talked a little bit about that today earlier on your channel, but
Just being, you know, withdrawn and and when all you see of the world is what's on the news and all the terrible things and all the negative things, uh I had just really withdrawn from, being a part of society, like,
yeah,
and become okay with that, and
yeah,
so that kinda concerned me a little bit, and I guess subconsciously what I was looking for was that encouragement and that support and to find a little bit of good out there that I knew had to be still out there somewhere, people that are willing to learn and willing to put in an effort. And, it's just you don't see a lot of that. You look at the world today and you're just like, oh no, we're doomed, like,
right,
like,
right,
and I instantly found like-minded people and people like all the filth and stuff on social media and on the news and all this, it's and on TV, everywhere you look, it's just like, I don't know if I need to be feeding my brain this stuff,
right,
but there are good people out there, like-minded people. And
right,
even the people that aren't like-minded, there are still good people that don't think like me that I can learn from, in a positive light. And so that kinda it has taught me that, that there are good people still out there and to not lose hope.
right. That's awesome. So you served in the military, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And obviously that shows. So where did you serve? What did you serve? What was your MOS? Is that it?
So I was security forces in the Air Force, and I served at Lackland Air Force Base. That's where my basic training and my AIT school was. And
Okay.
so, therefore, shortly after that, I that's why when people ask me about it, I tell them that I don't count because I wasn't like Eric who was deployed and all of that. When people tell me thank you for your service, I just kind of blow it off. I'm like, nah, I don't count. Like my dad, he retired master sergeant from the Air Force. So I see that as like worth a thank you for your service. I wasn't in for a really long time. And and it was in into my service, I realized that I was pregnant and I was like, I gotta go home. Like I was like, I can't handle this. It was unexpected and I was not prepared for that. I was really just still a child, I was 19
Yeah,
and I realized I needed to run home to mama, like up until that point, I thought I was so grown until I was faced
yeah,
with that. And then I was like, I really have no idea what I'm doing here and I need help.
yeah,
So like I wasn't ready for all of this. Like, how it is when you're a teenager. You just think you got it all figured out and
yeah.
starting from like 15 and 16 years old, you're like, I got this. I don't need anybody. I'm grown. And
Right.
then and then grown things happen to you, and you're like, I can't handle it. Help me, mommy.
Hi,
Like,
Janet. So
so
did you get out of the military at that point, or what
I
did you do?
did. I
Okay.
did. So I was in there for less than a year, actually. And
Okay.
so, yeah, it was an honorable discharge, though.
Yeah.
There were other factors there that I just don't discuss or disclose, but it was honorable discharge. There wasn't anything wrong. I didn't get in trouble or anything like that. It was just I was honorably discharged and I went back home to where my mom was. So I didn't the thing is when I joined the Air Force, I joined from my dad's from I actually graduated high school. I was signed up to be shipped off before I even graduated high school. And then I left, from Salt Lake City, Utah is where my MEPS was, and then they sent me to Texas, and so when I got out, I was kinda sent back to the Las Vegas area, but I didn't have a home there really, so, I moved back to Texas actually. They send you home. When you get out of the military, they're gonna send you back to where you came from. Whether you have a home there or not, that's your home because that's where you came from.
Okay.
And so I went back there for a very small time, and then I came back to Texas, and from there my mom came and picked me up
Okay.
all the way from Alabama to Texas. And so I lived with my mom for a little while after that until I could get on my feet.
Okay. And so you got on your feet, and where did life go from there?
Well, I really didn't get on my feet, honestly. I got out of my mom's house, but I really wasn't up on my feet actually for a little while after that. I went down I went kind of down a dark path there for a little while. Everything was good for like the first 2 years of having a baby. I had a lot of support. The church helped me a lot, and I don't know. I just kind of I had gotten a job in a foreign. I think that was where I went wrong. I got this job and I moved off to a place that I was unfamiliar with, where people that I was unfamiliar with, and I ended up working this job where I had swing shifts, like day shift, night shift, day shift, night shift. It would swap out. And I ended up getting, with that being said, I ended up getting kind of mixed in with the wrong crowd, the nightlife crowd,
Uh-huh.
because that was the time that I was awake because I was used to working, night shift. And then when it would switch back to day shift, I would not be able to sleep at night when I was supposed to because I was
Right.
working at night. And I ended up kind of getting in with the nighttime crowd, which kind of got me in a little bit of trouble. And so I ended up, following that train, being on that train of trouble for a little while before I got back on my feet. Um, but yeah. But when I did get back on my feet, actually ended up back at my mom's house. And, but I did eventually get on my feet, so that's good.
Yeah. So how did you get back on your feet? What was the driving force to get you back
Uh,
on your feet?
well, the Lord, honestly, I had, several near-death experiences. I think Emma getting older, she was approaching kindergarten age.
Okay.
She was getting more aware, and you know, just looking at her and like seeing past, like I don't know if anybody's been in situations where you're putting things in your body that you're not supposed to, but um in those situations it's really hard to see, the thing, like I don't know, people do things for different reasons. You might feel hopeless or you might feel like you're unworthy of doing better things, but sometimes it's hard to see how you're affecting other people. And I was just beginning to see more and more of that. Like my mama asking me, "Are you on drugs or do you have cancer? Because what's going on. You're withering away. Like something's wrong. You got to tell me what's going on here." And like just the acknowledgement that what I was doing to myself, I was not hiding, and it was no secret. Like it was very apparent that something was going on with me, and that kind of led into me being more aware of how how people surrounding me are aware of what's going on with me, that I'm not able to hide that. And that kind of put me in the mind of thinking about my daughter and how if my mama can see it, then I'm sure my child can see it. And just thinking about that I don't want that to be a situation that she finds, even though I hid it really well. That didn't that was never the thing. The thing is that so many things could go wrong, and I just didn't want that to be the life for my child. So and that weighed on me and weighed on me until I just couldn't handle it anymore. And at that point, I really wanted to do better, but I but I didn't feel like I could. And so I pretty much just fell on the bathroom floor on my face and was just like, Lord, please help me, you know, uh, change the desires of my heart and make yourself real in my life because I don't have the strength, and I'm told that you do. And I will believe you if you know, if
Yeah.
you make yourself real to me. I do that for me. I hear all I was hearing. See, I was put in all these places. I'd go to church with my mama, and I heard all these stories, and and I wanted that in my life, so badly, but up until that point, it had not happened, and it seemed so far away, and I just wanted something better for my daughter, and I wanted something better for me, but more so for my daughter, because I really cared a lot more about her than I did myself at that time, and I guess I still do in a way, but,
Mhm.
uh, so yeah, that's pretty much how that happened. That's how I got out of that dark place, and, it didn't happen overnight, but that overnight it's just like something changed,
Mhm.
it came from feeling like a hopeless situation to, this is the start of a new beginning. Like this is gonna, and that was, I think that was the difference in any other time. Is like any other time when I seek help in any kind of way, like I always put limitations on the help that I was seeking. Like I wasn't accepting to the help
Mhm.
that I was asking for. Even if I was asking for help, I wasn't accepting to it, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah. Yeah.
at this point, I was so desperate for a change that, that was really the moment that I like surrendered and was like, okay, obviously my way is not working and I need a new way. So, and I know in order for that to happen, I have to be willing for you as in the Lord to be able to make changes in my life, and I have to be open to understanding that there is a different way than the way that I've went about. Like I need to be shown that way, and I didn't know at the time. I didn't, because I was one of those people who had been raised in church, but I had always thought that it was just campfire stories. Like I didn't know. Like I believed, but I didn't have that personal relationship, so I
Yeah.
didn't understand what everybody was talking about. But starting then, I started reading, and that's how I was able to replace those bad habits. I was in the Word. I was doing. I still, when I read, I have these little books, and they just have like a Bible verse a day and like a little
Yeah.
passage that you read and things. And you know, I uh, I started getting in those, and I that scripture, it'll have like one little verse at the top. I would look that up and then I would read like everything that was before and after that, and get
Yeah.
into it. And I did that like continuously. And it just like I just can't even explain like the transformation that happened so quickly. Like just just the desires of my heart changing is it was that was a big step, and steadily I just didn't want anything else to do with that filth, like people would, and it was hard because at the time we lived in an apartment, and so
Yeah.
obviously a lot of the people that we were involved with around us were very involved in the things that we were doing. That they would be coming to the door, and it was like the devil was knocking at my door every day, I'm like, go away. Like uh
Yeah.
and it took a lot of that, but it happened, and very quickly it happened. I say it didn't happen overnight, but it happened a lot faster than you might think.
Right.
And that
So,
transition.
did you have a desire to get into the Word after that commitment, or
Oh yeah, most
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and
Because I knew that I automatically felt that it was helping me, you
yeah,
know, whether I understood it at the time or
right,
not, I understood that I felt like I was moving in the right direction. I felt like it was already healthier for me than what I had provided for myself, and I knew that, and I knew that feeling that I was having was so much better than the feeling that I had before, and that made
right,
me yearn for more.
yeah. That's amazing. So, how far along are you in your journey now in this place? Do you feel
Uh,
like how long has it been since you've been free?
January will be 6 years since I got
Yeah,
sober. So,
wow,
and
that's amazing.
and while that doesn't seem like a long time, I mean, I don't know. I just felt like I feel like I've been raised into a whole different person since then. I feel like that was a lifetime ago, and I say that 5 or 6 years, and people are like, well, that wasn't that long ago, but it feels like so long ago to me. Like, I don't feel like that was a whole person ago,
Yeah,
like that's like, and I don't for a second look back and be like, I don't I don't struggle with it. I really don't. But of course, I don't put myself around situations where I would have to
right,
struggle with it. But like
right,
there's nowhere inside of me that is like that wants to change, like turn into a pillar of salt. You know what I'm saying? I don't
right.
even look back. When I do look back, I demonize it. I say it just as it was, and it's not in a positive light. If I am
Right.
gonna go back and talk about it, it's not in a mouth-watering way. It's in a terrible, indecent, terrible, just traumatic way, and that's how you have to do anything that you have a bad habit of. You have to demonize it and just remind yourself all the terrible, terrible things that came along with it,
Right.
and not the good things,
Right.
so. And I really don't miss it, like, at all, like, everything that I have, I mean, when I had that life, I had nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, we had an apartment at one time, we had an apartment, and we had nothing. My daughter had a fold-out cushion to sleep on. She didn't even have a bed or a dresser or I mean, there's nothing to be missed about that life. I don't have to live like that anymore, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful every day. I might have days where I'm just like, "Ugh," I get so frustrated about the little things, and I have to physically, like, I have to make myself remember, like, think of where you've come from, like, just be grateful for what you have and that you even have life to breathe and to have these things.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a blessing in itself. So,
Sorry, I'm ignoring the chat a little bit, but this is a deeper subject, and so I don't want to focus on the people in the chat so much. So, um,
oh, you're fine, I get it. You can.
talking to, so, but, I just think your story is so important, and we don't get to hear it from uh, your side of the table. You know what I mean?
Right,
People are often willing to share their stories from my side of the table where they've been hurt by an addict, but or somebody who's gone through something where they've withdrawn from life, or depression or whatever it is. And your story is so important for people to hear
yeah,
because, you know, and for us to understand you, and to that's the only way that we can help heal
right.
others and relate to others. So, where is your relationship with people that were in your life during that time, and how has that worked out?
Well, Eric is the only person, and my mom is the only person that's in my life that was in my life at that time. I mean, it's crazy because I just went about like regular everyday life, but I was not regular. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I did my best to mask it, but I mean, things went on, and went about my merry way. It's just I had that skeleton in the closet.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric's still around, and I actually made that transition before he did. I had to go stay with my mom for a little while until he could get it through his head that I was very serious about the transition that I had made. He was so confused. He was like, "What happened?" You know what I'm saying? You came
Okay.
from like share, share, share to no, 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 get it out of the house.
Yeah.
And he didn't understand what was going on, and I was trying to tell him, and he didn't. It took a while. It took me taking Emma and being like, "We're not going to stay here if, this is what's going to go on." And he's like, "Well, what's changed?" But he eventually came around. Didn't take very long either before he realized, because he knows the word, and I mean, we both grew up knowing the truth. Just, we just strayed away.
Yeah.
And so, he knew, and so I guess it was a bold move for me to do, and it meant a lot to him to see that I was serious. And so we ended up being sober together. And so, yeah, that's an anomaly to find somebody who has been through the things that we have been through together, and then come out the other side of it and still be together. And so we it was like it was like literally it's a week and a half after my sober date is his sober day,
Oh, wow.
last time he relapsed. So yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, so he's been sober for the same amount of years that I have been. So it's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, what do you do? What do you guys do to keep sober now? I mean, other than you talked a little bit about you stay in the Word and stuff like that.
Well, we
Um,
set goals, I mean, like we wanted, that's something we've been wanting to do, is you can't have anything when you have that other stuff. And just the fact that we're able to buy our kids Christmases, and that's what it is. Now we're like, oh no, it's September's coming up. We need to be saving for Christmas.
yes,
That's what our life is now, is being able to provide for our kids and being able to make up for that terrible experience that we might have shown them before, and make up for that, I mean, and while they were so little, they don't even remember it, but, that's mainly what we just staying busy and staying looking ahead, appreciating what you have now and looking forward to working towards greater things. That's how we don't look backwards, I mean, Eric, bless his heart, he don't have time to think about nothing. He works 10 and 12-hour shifts 5 days out of the week, sometimes 6. So, and how I do it is just by, setting goals. Like, we have goals here on the homestead. We have things that we want. We want to buy a house. This is not our land. This is rented property.
right.
We have goals that we have to keep our eyes fixed on in order to get to where we want to be. So that's pretty much, how we
Cool.
deter
Everybody,
from that.
welcome in. We're having a serious discussion, so I'm not going to go through names or anything, um, but everybody, welcome in. One of the so, what are the things that um, I have some, a brother with an addiction, and uh, people in my family with addictions. What do you think can we do as people that have, everybody's got somebody, in their life? What can we do to make things better for them? How can we help them that's not hurting them? What do you see in that?
I don't know. I think that our natural response to when somebody is doing something that that they shouldn't be doing is to kind of be like address that aggressively. And while we know that that is the most important thing, is for them to fix that, I think that the more you push it, the the worse off it is. I think that the best approach to that is just loving them, and maybe showing them in a non-aggressive way that the reason, maybe talking to them about it, because I know a lot of times some people, like, they're just like, you need to do this, and they don't make it easy, I'm sure, to approach them about it, because automatically when you're in a situation like that, you're going to be defensive. You're not going to want to talk about it. Anytime somebody tries to bring it up, you're going to be really probably angry and defensive about it, because more than likely that person is not happy with themselves. So you
Right.
just kind of have to remember that, like, when you're approaching somebody that is going through, you just kind of have to put it out of your mind that you're doing this to yourself, and you're making these bad decisions, and why are you doing, you don't want to think like that. You want to think like, how can I help this person that feels hopeless? How can I help this person that that might want to do better but doesn't know how to go about that? Like, that's a hard question to answer, because all I know to say is to soften your heart. I know that I had many people praying for me,
Hmm.
and where two and three are gathered together, sort of deal. I know that I feel like that's a lot of the reason that I came out the way I was, because I had a lot of people praying for me with their heart and soul, like, attached, not just Lord help that child, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like with, in deep, just like sorrow over my situation that I was putting myself in. And I don't know, that's the best way I can answer that is to approach that person as if, even though it is their decision and their bad decision they're making, approach it like as if it's not, if that makes any sense. Like, um, that way you can soften your heart and realize that that person is in a situation where we see that just a decision away they could fix. They feel like they're trapped. And so if we understand more that it's not that they want to be doing what they're doing, but they feel like they have no other choice, then I feel like we can approach the situation in a better way.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe then see where we can go from there about trying to help that person. Um, I know that it's really hard to relate as somebody who hasn't went through it, and I can imagine that looking on the outside, you're just like, "Why? Why are you doing this?" But I know it from the other side where you just feel like a prisoner, and you feel like this is it. This is who I am. This is who I'm gonna be, and I don't have any other choice. This is it. I've messed up, and you tend to feel like you're stuck in that. And I don't know. I'm honestly not around a whole lot of people that um, I don't know. I guess I'm not as far out as I want to be able to address those kind of situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I do want to help people. But I don't, I really, as much as I would like to say that I know how, I don't. I just know loving and encouraging them and not damning them any more than they're already damning themselves, and or condemning them, because they've already got enough of that going on, I assure you. Whether they seem like they're arrogant and like they're set in their ways and they're okay with it, I guarantee you that person goes home and cries or is angry and is hurt on the inside and is having to deal with that. Some people might be like, seem like, oh, well, I can do what I want. But I guarantee you, when that person is by themselves, that they are struggling with the decisions they're making. So if we just remember that, because nobody wants to show weakness. Like when you're addressed, you're like, I don't need you. I don't need you telling me, but I know for me, that's how I was. I mean, I would get on the defense. You would think I was just the most hateful person ever. But when I was by myself, I was hearing what somebody was saying to me. I felt
Yeah.
that, and you think they're not listening, but they are. They're hearing you. There's no way without a conscience, unless their complete reprobate mind, I mean, they're
Right.
hearing what you're saying. When in that alone time, when they're going to do whatever it is they're doing, they're thinking about what you said. And that's all I know to say is to sow that seed and just pray for them, and to sow that seed with love and hope, not coming into it like there's no hope, because that person already feels hopeless. If you're going to be the one that's providing the source of hope, then have some faith.
Yeah.
That's what I know, is to be that person that, like, don't try to offer help and then just be like, oh, well, I tried to help you, so I
Yeah.
mean, because some things take time,
Yeah.
and if you're trusting in the Lord to handle that situation,
Yeah.
and don't give up faith, and keep praying for that person, and and just to make sure that person knows that you're there, to help them if they ever need anything. And I think that goes a long way, because, in a lot of situations, we'll give them an ultimatum and say, well, if you're not going to do like I want you to do or like you need to do, then I'm not going to help you anymore, or like this. So maybe not giving them money, that wouldn't be probably the thing
Right.
to do. But you know what I'm saying? As far as loving them and encouragement, that's what they
Mm-hmm.
need consistently,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's all I know.
Yeah. So do you think if it wasn't for, praying and reaching out to God, that you would have changed? I mean, was that the be all end all? right there.
I think that that's where I got the strength to change. I know that I already wanted to change, but that was the only way I was able to.
Right.
I really feel like, I mean, that's that's the truth.
Did
Um,
anybody help with encouragement to get you to that place that you would reach out to God? Of it, was it testimonies in church? Was it what was it that made you
um,
think that you could? I mean, you kind of talked about that a little bit, but
yeah, I went to my mom's church, and they had a I can't even remember the name of the people that were there, but that's who they were. They were a group that was coming and talking about the recovery stories, and uh, and I just remember that really like speaking to me, and seeing that there is another side, and it is possible to like get out of that. And when I was listening to him, I was like, yeah, right. Bet she don't know where I've been. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, at the time I was like, yeah, I'm sure she wasn't as far into it as I was. And uh it's easy to think that, but you know, I don't know. I know where I've been, and
yeah,
I don't know. I heard those people's story, and my mom could tell me what the group was called, but that's what it was. Is there was a group of people that they were helping, for recovery, and they were telling their stories and everything, and that really did a lot for me.
right.
Um, but
So
other than that, it was mainly just really, I mean, just there were some occurrences, that in my household that I just knew that if it wasn't for the things that we're doing, this would not be happening. And
yeah,
so um
so there was
yeah.
a light that was, and I'm sure that was for people praying. You know,
Oh, I'm
um,
sure.
uh, so there was that instance, and so did you find yourself after you prayed this prayer and God walked you through this? Did you join any groups or AA or anything like that afterwards?
No, I pretty much hid from the world. I was just like, it's a dangerous place out there. Stay away.
Yeah,
I went outside as least as possible. That's when actually I went to school that next year. Um, it was January 2017 when I cleaned up. By 2018, I went back to school, and so that was kind of me stepping out of my comfort zone there. I was like, okay, well, the next step is to like, get a decent job. I had always worked at manufacturing companies or a restaurant or a gas station or, all of those things. I was like, okay, well, I need like a career. If I'm
yeah,
getting myself together, I need to. So my first thought was to go back to school. So I did that. And then we found this house and we moved here. And I finished school, and we I never did get a job. So now
yeah.
my job is just being here and, doing
So
the
what did you go
home
to
thing.
school for?
Office administration and technology, and I got a side certificate for medical office administration.
Oh, okay.
So I did like I learned coding and things like that,
Hmm.
and I got Microsoft Office Specialist certified in Word and Excel and PowerPoint and things like that, and all the stuff you would need to work in an office, pretty much.
Right.
And I was hoping with doing that I would be able to get a remote work from home job,
Hmm.
but that what didn't come as easy as I was thinking. And I was thinking, with the things going like it is, I should be able to get a work from home job. Everything's going to work from home, right?
Yeah.
Well, everybody wants somebody who's had experience before, or 2 years in house, they call it, which means that you've worked at a hospital or a doctor's office or something like that to be able to code at home. They want you to have in house experience. Well,
Okay.
I don't have that. And so But I don't know. I'm happy with where I'm at. I love having Emma at home. It eases my mind. I don't have to worry about what little kid she's looking at their phone on the bus. I don't have to worry about what's being said to her or if she's being treated fairly or what the school is teaching her or, or what people might think is okay, but I don't now, and if she's being brainwashed,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about any of that,
Right.
so because I can see what she's working on, and if it's something that I don't agree with, I can just be like, just skip over reading that part, I mean, and that might sound terrible and controlling. Um, and while I don't try to, I'm not trying to shield her too much, but I am going to shield her as much as I can while teaching her, educating her as much as I can to be prepared for this world.
Right.
I'm not going to throw her to the wolves either.
Right.
You know, she's only 11.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to keep her a child for as long as possible.
She's a beautiful 11 too. She's a beautiful, bright, uh, bold child. Um,
Yeah.
it's great. It's great. Um, so you're homeschooling her, and so you're doing the whole homesteading lifestyle. What have you? You're doing a garden. What else have you done as far as a homesteader?
Well, the first thing I did was get chickens, and we built our chicken coop and the chicken pen and everything. And then the next step was, well, when you clean out the chicken pen, well, we've got the chickens, obviously, and there was a lot of poo. And so we built some compost bins so that when we took out the chicken poo, then we had a place to put it to make our own compost, and we started doing that. And then we started out doing gardening in buckets, 5-gallon buckets.
Hmm.
And then eventually this last year, or it was actually this year, earlier this year, we built some raised beds. So pretty much, I don't have any animals, so to speak. I have cats and dogs, but those animals don't provide, they take, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I would most definitely, if my goals to have is to have I would really learn how to I would like to have my own milk, process my own milk. I would like to be able to process it and make cream and cheese out of these things. I want to learn all the things. I want to know how to make my own soap and do all the things. I would love to learn all of that. And so that's why I say journey, because
Yeah.
really we're just starting out,
Yeah.
it's really just a start. And so, while we rent this place, so we're not going to go get a bunch of animals and stuff like that to put out here, because everything that we put out here on this land, we might have to relocate at any point. So
Yeah.
we're not going to build a whole farm on this land and then have to move a bunch of animals, So
Yeah.
we're kind of waiting on to see what the Lord's going to do with that as far as where we're going to be. It's kinda hard because you wanna prepare as much as possible right now, but,
Yeah.
we're kinda limited with what all we can do because of our current situation. And
So is that your driving force for homesteading? Is it for preparing for whatever may be coming in the future, or? Yeah.
yeah, because you would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Hey, Beth. Yeah. 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 For sure. So do you can or?
No, I'm just starting all that. I just got all of that this year. I just got everything I needed to can, and I actually still don't have a canner. I have a big pot that I can in. I figured
Yep.
out that I can use my Instapot, the thing that not the Instapot, but the little grate that goes down in the
Yep.
Instapot. I'm thinking about using that and putting it in that tall boiler that I have,
Yeah.
and using it to put my cans
You
on.
can
I
also
think that will
strap
work.
your canning lids together, and there's videos on YouTube about how to strap your canning lids together and using them as a thing to keep them raised from the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I there's this above our cabinets is like this nook. in between the above the cabinets and the ceiling, and I don't know what you call that, but anywho, I've got jars I've been collecting and everything, and so
Nice.
I've been I've pretty much been trying to get prepared to can, but I
Yeah.
haven't actually done it yet. So
Right.
I'm
Right.
the world's worst at procrastinating. Like when I don't know something really well, I kind of tend to put it off because I tend to want to perfect something before I even try it so that I don't fail at it, you know? So
So
I've
you're
done a
not
lot
like
of,
me, trial by error.
well, look, that's what it's going to end up being anyway,
Yeah.
because I can't seem to be educated enough where I feel like I'm comfortable doing this. So that's what I'm
Right.
going to have to do is just do it.
I think you'll
And
be surprised how easy it is, and it's not like you can't call, uh, any of us, and we'll walk you through something. You know what I
right.
mean? And the books are pretty instructional. Um,
Yeah.
you know, so um, it's good. But I understand. I can remember the first time I canned, and yeah, it was fun. Started with water bath, and then I've done both. But um, canned so many tomatoes because I had so many tomatoes the first and second year I was homesteading, that, and then we moved out here and I had to toss them.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, it was a
You should
bummer.
have shipped them to me.
Yeah, you could have made sauce out of them.
Right, no,
Um,
something. I did
yeah,
make my own salsa, so
nice. I saw that.
so
That's
I
awesome.
but I have while I haven't canned, I have had the most yield that I've ever had out of my garden this year, and we have ate more fresh food from the garden this year than we have, you know,
That's
the
awesome.
prior years, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So who's your
And
inspiration out there for homesteading?
uh, well, I started off watching Justin Rhodes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I found Roots and Refuge.
Mm-hmm.
And Jess and Maya at Roots and Refuge, and they are doing things and stuff. I mean, that's like the ideal.
Yeah,
That's where I first got. Like when I saw Justin Rhodes, I was like, that is awesome. Like they completely make their living off of just they are working to live instead of living to work,
yeah,
and I found that really inspirational, and they are able to pay their bills and run their homestead off of a YouTube channel, like,
yeah.
and while they work, because they work to keep up a homestead, they don't ever have to go to a 9 to 5 ever again. I
Right.
found that really inspiring.
Yeah.
you know, so Jess and Maya, and then there's Jill at Whispering Willow Farm.
Uh-huh. Which is
Um,
friends with Jess.
yes,
Yes.
she bought her homestead
Hmm.
actually when Jess and Maya moved. That Jill bought Jess and Maya's place, and
Yeah.
I just absolutely adore her.
Yeah.
I
She's
just go
sweet.
see her just to see her. She just makes me smile when I see her, even if she can't teach me nothing. I just enjoy watching her.
Yeah.
Um, and she does flowers. Well, they grow food, lots of food, but I'm
Yeah.
saying,
But they
um,
do a flower farm. Yeah.
yeah, that's her little business is growing and selling cut flowers, and so I think that's awesome. That's what got me started on growing food was
Hmm.
was was flowers, and so I was like, well, I'm not so shabby at this. I can grow myself some food,
Hmm.
and so
See,
what
I
better
was the
time than
opposite.
now?
I was like, I'm not sure shabby at growing food. Maybe I can grow some flowers
Yeah.
because I didn't know anything, even though my mom was this great gardener, right? Nothing about flowers. Didn't pay attention, I guess.
Well, the flowers that I had at first, yeah, my mama doesn't do gardening or flowers either. So I wasn't raised around that sort of thing. But I
Hmm.
was working in personal care for this lady, and which means I just took her to doctor's appointments. I cleaned if she wanted the basement scrubbed 3 times in a week, I would do that. Or if she needed me to cook for her or anything, personal care. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if she got a ton of flowers and wanted her whole flower around her apartment is done, she wanted it landscaped, then that's what I would do. And so I did that for her, and I was like, I didn't do a bad job on this. It looks pretty good,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful, and so I went home, and Eric's mama and she and the lady that I was doing the personal care for, she had given me some flowers, and it was like the Lord just blessed me with all these flowers. All of a sudden everybody was giving me flowers. And so I just pretty much cleaned out because I already had a flower bed all around the front of the house. It came with a flower bed. It was
Yeah.
just grown up and really bad looking. So I just went through there and tore it all up and hoed it up and pulled it out and everything, and put some flowers in there. And I realized that I really liked doing that. Like, I liked taking a look back and being like, where can all this go for it to look all good together and stuff like that. And I ended up really liking that. And I was like, I think what I found here is a hobby.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. I needed one of those. You know? Like,
That's
so
great. That's great. So
let's pay attention to the chat because I feel like we have completely ignored them and I feel so
we
bad.
have hi runneth over garden and life. Hi fishes. Hi Caitlin Strain. Storms in here. Very awesome. Passamaquoddy's in here. Aquarius is in here. Ginger's in here.
I'm sorry to hear that dysfunction junction. Yep.
I didn't see that. What did he say?
He said, unfortunately, we lost. It jumped on me.
Oh,
They lost somebody to drugs and drinking, and they weren't able to do enough, he said. But you can't blame that on yourself.
no.
I mean, all you can do is love them and pray for them and be there
Right.
for them and let them know that you're there if they need you. I mean, ultimately, you can't control the decisions that somebody else makes, and you can't live with that thinking that it's your fault because it's not.
Right. Hello, Rebecca. Yeah, and that's one of the things is that I think that's the scary thing about being on this other side is drugs are so laced with everything nowadays. That fentanyl is in a lot of drugs, and it's so dangerous, and
Yeah.
it's so easy for somebody to overdose or lose their life very quickly.
It is. And what's crazy is used to it was just like in the big cities. We used to drive 2 hours to go get what we would get, and now it's like right here.
Yeah,
It's at home.
yeah,
I've seen signs of it. I've got out the gas station and seen stuff on the ground and was just like, I didn't just see that. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. In my little small town, my little small country town.
hmm
So it's becoming more and more prevalent. And, I try to just I try to just ignore it. But I mean, somebody has to not ignore it and like
right,
get this stuff out of here. That's why we
right,
live here, is because it's a safe place. And even when I was doing all my heathen stuff, I was going off, to
right.
do whatever I was doing, and then now it's scary to know that it's right here at home in little old small town. We got like a population of 4,000 people altogether,
Oh,
like in the
okay.
whole county,
Oh, wow, wow. So that's smaller than where we're at with our land. Hi, Cosmic, and where to begin? Good to see you in here, Ginger Ninja. Um, so singing, I noticed on some of your videos, and as a worship leader myself, you love singing. What
I
what
do.
have you done with that? Where have you gone with that? And I know you enjoy it. And
Yeah, that's pretty much
is
as
that
far as I've went with that.
part of your refuge to just sing to the Lord and
Yeah, I do. That's like way of worshiping. That's my way of giving back, because I feel like if I use my voice to praise him, that's my way of, even if it don't sound pretty sometimes, I feel like he appreciates me giving him praise, so
right? Sometimes mine is packed with tears and
yeah.
just groaning and wailing for the Lord and a
I
situation that I'm
feel
in.
music though,
Yeah,
like on a weird level. Like, I'll be listening to K-Love and stuff, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter. I might have heard something a million times, and then that millionth and one time, I'm just like, it hit me. Like,
Yep. Yep.
like, you hear the words and you hear the words and you're singing along, and then one of those days you actually hear the words, and you're just
Yes.
like, how did I miss this whole time?
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed music.
Yeah. I do too. I do too. It's that and the word. It just, it's like when you've been raised in the church and you hear scripture over and over again, and you almost turn a deaf ear to it. It's almost like it becomes just every day, and then all of a sudden God opens your eyes and you see what they're actually saying, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
Wow. And I think that's just how God speaks to us, that he knows when we can handle hearing something or seeing something in our lives. So thank God for the perfect man upstairs.
For sure.
So, um, so what's your dog's name? You have 2 dogs and how many cats?
3 now. All of my cats are strays, right? And so the 2 that I've had, they're not stray. Like, I found them when they were babies. Coop is my first cat. He is a male. We found him. I found him. I went out to, so there's a tarp on top of the chicken coop, right? And
Yeah,
so sometimes, like, we don't have an exactly roof on top of the chicken coop. It's kind of a flat roof. Don't
right.
do that. Just a disclaimer. If you're gonna build a chicken coop, don't put a flat roof on it. So I have to like poke sticks and make a like TP type thing out of the tarp. Well, sometimes those sticks fall. And so I have to go out there and poke the water off the top of the tarp, so that it won't weigh in the top of the coop. Anywho, one
Yeah.
day it was raining. I went out there to do that, and I saw a little black something in with the chickens. And at that time, I didn't have a black chicken. And I was like, what is that? I'm like, it's all raining, and I'm like going in there to do that. And I look over, and I'm like, is that a cat? And it was a cat. And so we took him in. He was wild, obviously, but he was just a kitten that his wild mama probably just left him, and he got run into the chicken coop somehow, or probably a dog chasing after him or something getting
Oh,
after him,
that's
and he
so
took
interesting.
shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just curled up, staying dry and warm with the chickens. And so we named him Coop. We took him in, and so now he's grown, and then there's Mo, which we found same type situation. She was just a little baby when we found her, and we found her under the lawnmower. Eric actually found her. um and she was injured. Her back leg was injured, and I guess she was taking shelter in our carport under the lawnmower. She
Hmm.
was so small that she took shelter under the lawnmower.
Oh, wow.
She was
Wow.
just sweetle bitty.
Hi,
uh
our new land. And uh,
Hey, Devin.
yeah, good to see you guys.
So anywho, and this third cat was grown when she got here, and she actually had kittens, and I think she's taken them off, and I'm not sure what she's done with them. But we were planning on taking in the mama cat and the kittens, but she took the kittens off, and I don't know what happened to them. But she has come back, and she stays. Every time I feed our 2 cats, she comes up and she's like, "It's feeding time." She won't let us pet her yet, but so she's new, but I'm counting her as a third cat that we have because she eats the food every day.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
um, but anywho, my 2 dogs are Oz and Ruby. Oz is my boy dog, and Ruby is my girl. And yeah, we've had them for Ruby is what? Let's see, 7 years old, and Oz is 6. We got Oz like a year and a half after we got Ruby. So yeah.
Cool. Cool. That's exciting. I got to look at my notes that are a couple weeks old.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I
I,
felt
I'm
so bad.
I don't feel sorry. I'm teasing you. I am not
But I am, and I felt so bad and
Yeah.
so embarrassed and dumb at the same time. Like, I was whenever Bearded Eagle came in and said, "Aren't you supposed to be in Laura's live?" I was like, I know my face had to be like, because I was devastated. I was felt so something. I felt something.
So you watched the roads and you watched uh, other people's channels, and what have you learned about growing gardens and all that fun stuff? I mean, if you watched,
Well,
you said your garden's so much better this year. What did you improve it with? Do you mend your soil? What have you learned about gardening and all that fun stuff?
I've learned that there's more than just planting it and watering it. Like, you have to fertilize it, you gotta go out there and you gotta prune it, sing to it, whatever you gotta do. You know, I mean, no, but
Weed it.
yeah, weed it. It just takes a lot of more tending to. I didn't realize that gardening was like a full-time job.
Yeah,
But that's what probably is different this year. I documented everything from start to finish. You know, these seed packets, they tend to have on the back of them like how long it's going to take, and everything like that. And I've really just hugged the back of these. There's no shame in that. And really planning, like going and taking the time to be like, okay, if this takes 55 days, then I need to start at this time to be able to have it produced by
right,
this time. And, taking more time into it and documenting things and, just like it'll say 5 to 10 days for it to pop, or sometimes it might only take 2 or 3, and so or the next day. I've had radish seeds pop within 24 hours. And
right.
so, just how I handled it, like if I sprayed them up until a certain point and then started watering them, or when I transplanted them and stuff like that, like I feel like it's just been more successful because I have more to refer back to than just I can't remember what I did last year. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I actually like took the time to document all of these things. And I just all around feel more prepared, and I got a better yield, yeah, for sure. We've tried a couple of different, fertilizing methods. We used while we have our own compost. Eric's so picky. He's just like, "Oh, our compost is not up to par. It's supposed to look a certain way and whatever and whatnot." Well, we got this truckload of cotton trash, we call it, or
Hmm.
gin trash, and we used that as compost this year, and that really, really worked out well.
Right.
Um but just spending more time with it, I guess, to make a long story short, I think that's what made the difference.
Do you make your own compost at all?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I do. I'm pretty consistent with going out there. What I'm consistent with adding to it, but I'm not consistent with flipping it. And that's what you have to do, is stay on it with keeping it flipped.
There's a lot of theories and thoughts about that too. Um, I always recommend a book from it's called Compost Everything, and um, by David the Good,
Okay.
and it's got some really really good information. Thin book, easy to read, go through, and some surprising stuff in there. Um,
Does
and
it say it's okay to put eggshells and coffee grains in it?
Yep,
Because that's what I put in mine.
yep, literally compost everything. So it's got some really good, um, and there's some good tips for growing in clay soil. I don't know if you have clay soil like we
Yes,
do
we
here in Tennessee. Yeah,
indeed.
so that kind of thing and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, I recommend that. I've done a lot of studying this year because I haven't been able to grow like I normally do. So I'm doing more studying about how to grow in this Tennessee soil here this year. So that's what I've been working on. But that's about it. I think that's all I have for you. Oh,
Well, okay.
what are you growing in your garden?
Now, well, everything that I started in spring and summer is dead. So I had to pull everything out, but I mean, it had a really good harvest for
Yeah.
several harvests before it died, but it was just on its last leg, so I pulled everything out, and except for my tomatoes. The tomatoes are the only thing left for my spring and summer garden. I propagated those, so I have a couple of tomatoes. I have planted some spaghetti squash that I just saw pop this morning, so I'm
Nice.
pretty excited about those, and those are frost hardy, so it won't be a big deal if, if the frost comes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do imperial broccoli, stonehead cabbage, catskill Brussels sprouts, Hercules carrots. I'm gonna do spinach, romaine, and some gourmet blend lettuce. I have a raised bed that I just do my lettuces in, so I'll do all my lettuces and my radishes in that bed, and so I call it my salad bed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
and and so then I'll do the cabbage and Brussels sprouts in a raised bed, and then this year I didn't realize I tried to grow broccoli for the first time this last spring, and I didn't realize that it becomes like a tree. I wasn't prepared for that. Like it's
Mm.
huge.
Yeah.
When you grow broccoli, it grows out real big. And so my raised bed wasn't enough to compensate for that. So it was like really top heavy.
Yeah.
So this time I'm going to put my broccoli in containers, fabric pots actually, and I'm going to see how that works out because
Yeah.
I didn't get any broccoli from
The
what
one
I
thing I've
planted in the
noticed
spring.
about fabric pots out here in Tennessee is that you really, really have to stay on top of the water because they dry out so quickly here.
Yeah.
Um, and now we're humid as heck, it just dries out really quickly. So, um, yeah, but I'm Oregon, they did fine and I never had to worry about them. But here in Tennessee, it's like, okay, that soil is bone dry. That's,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
We
yeah,
have the red clay real bad. You were talking about the clay. It's just, I think I've almost like completely given up on in-ground gardening. Like, it's so hard to plant anything or to get it tilled up and ready. Like,
right.
we, we had a tractor come in and plow that spot that we planted in and dissed it up, or however you call it, like
Yeah,
couple of times to break it all up and get it, and it still was just like chunks. And then the grass and weeds grew back so fast, and so pretty much I've taken everything that would like showed signs of life, which was pretty much okra. But
yeah,
who knows, there could be more stuff in there because you can't see it for all the weeds and grass, but I was able to pull out like 9 or 10 okra plants out of there and
nice.
transplanted them into my raised bed, the deeper raised bed. And so I'm hoping that they seem like they've taken root.
Oh, good.
They didn't die, so that's
Right,
good.
right.
But
One of the things that David the Good recommends, he's actually in Florida, but he lived in Tennessee for a while. And he said the only way that he could actually get things to grow in the clay out here is that he did lasagna gardening. I don't know if you know what that is, where
where
you're
you
doing
layer,
layers, yeah. And you just got to make it like a foot deep. And you start planting in that, and that's the way to go. Or lasagna gardening, or he did something else for like melons and things like that, where he did deep in ground, like 3 foot deep. He would put like carcasses of like a chicken and just some wood ash and some different things like that. That's in his compost everything book, um, and and then he would grow melons on that, and they took off like crazy. So, and that's some of the stuff that I've implemented in my raised garden beds out here, um, and I'll be doing, and I've had some really good success. My tomatoes are huge and everything. I also have tomatoes in the ground here that are close to a garden bed where there's getting some of that runoff.
I
You know,
tried to grow tomatoes in the ground here. No go. I grew a tomato in a planter and it almost got as tall as the house.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I just think it might just be me, but I tend to be able to maintain and um, just keep up with and have better look out of containers and planters and raised beds. So I
yeah,
think that's what I'm going to continue to do. Probably build more raised beds, or if I do the in ground, I'm going to put down some ground cover or something because
yeah.
I just every time I look at that out there, it's very discouraging.
Oh,
I'm
I
just like,
know.
epic fail.
I've got
Like,
vines growing and then weeds all around them, and yeah, I
yeah.
know how you feel. I know how you feel. It's hard. Ground cover is probably a must, especially here in Tennessee and where you are. I'm sure the humidity just makes things grow like crazy, which
Yes.
is a blessing, but it's a lot of weeds too,
I
and it's hard to
mean,
keep up with.
it
So
gets out of hand fast. Like
yeah,
I had this vine that took over and it just like just I was just like if one day it wasn't there and one day it was taken over. Like I was like, how did this happen? And I got in there trying to do it by hand and stuff and 62-foot rows.
yeah,
My goodness. I'm like, I just gave up on it. I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna tromp through this stuff and try to figure out like what life is left in here, pull it out, and then tell him to plow it down, and we'll
yeah.
start over." Like,
Take it to
so
the farm and root. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work, and it's going to be a lot of work starting a garden out there on our acreage. But I'm looking forward to it. So, um, but yeah, I think now that we have 25 people in here, we'll end it.
well, I haven't been able to see how many people's in here this whole time. I just
Yeah,
but really late but made it, Miss Ruth said. The Cosmic Cultivator said they're container gardeners as well.
yeah,
Um I watched them one time put sticks in a raised bed and grow peas on it. That was pretty cool. I thought that was
yeah.
awesome.
They are really good gardeners, cosmic
That's
cultivators.
yeah. That's mainly what That's mainly what I want to get across because
They really were.
me coming from not having much of anything, which I have things now and that's great and dandy, but I want to get across that, you can be resourceful and that's mainly what I'm wanting people to learn on my channel, that you don't have to be all knowing and all this talented and, and have all these things in order to have things. Like,
Right,
you can be resourceful and use things from little to nothing. You can make them into something.
right.
And so,
That's
that's
what I really like about David the Good. He has his own YouTube channel. He's basically teaches you how to grow and make your own compost, how to make your own fertilizer, how to make your own. So you're not spending all these resources. And he's a professional gardener. Um, so he knows his stuff,
right.
um, and good Christian man as well. So,
That's
um,
always a plus.
yeah, it's always a big plus. So, um, he's written quite a few books about gardening, seeds, free seeds for everybody, and how to propagate and how to, and if you have a Kindle, you can get his stuff on Kindle as well. So,
Right.
um, uh, just a lot of good knowledge there, and his books are really easy to read, and he's got a lot of humor in what he says too. So,
Somebody said that you got a super chat.
oh, I did. I didn't even see it.
That's awesome.
Thank you, whoever that was.
Yeah, I don't know who it
I
is that
didn't.
gave it to you,
I didn't see it on this end. Thank you. Thank you.
but Ginger Ninja said that you missed a super chat.
Oh,
So I don't know if
thank you.
she's the
Thank
one
you.
that gave it
Yeah.
but I appreciate you having me up here, and I hope that I was able to answer your questions to your liking. I
Well,
know I get a
it,
little distracted, and I
it's
have a
it's
hard
not about
time.
that. It's not about that. It's about um, sharing your heart and your story, and it's not about to my liking or whatever. No, you answered the questions the way that you needed to answer them, and thank you for sharing your heart. I have a lot of respect for where you've been and where you're going, and I think we can all learn from each other, and I think you sharing your story will probably help somebody else. And if it's not going to help the person that that is coming out of it is going to help the person that's walking alongside somebody who's coming out of it. And so,
Well,
I'm
that's what I
sure.
kind of meant. I guess that's when I say to your liking, I mean, like, it wasn't too deep, it wasn't too much, it wasn't off topic from what you were wanting me to answer, like,
No,
because I tend to go down like a rabbit hole when I'm like trying to answer a question. It's like, could you just answer the question? Like,
don't be hard on yourself though. I mean, I didn't have expectations of where this needed to go, because when I pray about these things, I just, Lord, lead us where we need to go, and so
Right.
I'm trusting that He's going to do that. So yeah.
Well, I
So
appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully, hopefully I can help somebody at some point. I mean, I feel like it would be a complete waste to have went through what I've went through and not be able to help somebody come out of the other side of what I've went through, so
I think every time you share your story, Dani, you are helping somebody. I
well, I
really do.
appreciate that.
And so keep on doing it. All right, you guys. Thank you guys for all coming. I am so thankful you guys were all here, and I'm so thankful that this is recorded and it will share again stuff. So we are very thankful for all of you, and thanks for the super chat. Whoever shared that, I'm sure I'll see that later, and I'll send a special thanks. For some reason, it didn't show up on this side. God bless and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
I gotta figure out how to turn this off. Where's the off button? Oh, end stream. Here we go.
I don't know. Toodles.